The occupational therapy process is naturally cyclical. We assess, intervene, review, and return to assessment as needs change. Levitt-Jones et al. 2010 introduced a professional reasoning cycle for student nurses, and it gives us a clear, transferable structure for making our reasoning explicit throughout the housing adaptation process. Stage 1 focuses on understanding the current situation. This is where we begin gathering information from multiple sources, such as the referral document, which usually outlines the issues, records from previous involvements, and discussions with other professionals. We may also draw on insights from family members, particularly for children's referrals. Most importantly, we listen to the person themselves to understand their lived experience and priorities. Stage 2 involves gathering detailed information through environmental assessment. We look closely at the barriers and enablers within the person's home and consider how these interact with their abilities and daily routines. We interpret what we find using relevant knowledge, including medical history, legislation, construction methods, and any equipment or adaptations we may be considering, to build a clear picture of what is influencing occupational performance. In Stage 3, we process everything we've learned so far. We interpret the information gathered, compare the current and previous situations, and consider what is realistically achievable. This involves filtering out irrelevant details and prioritizing what truly matters. From here, we begin forming defensible opinions, drawing on past experience to examine the available options and start identifying the most appropriate outcomes. At Stage 4, we draw together all the information and analysis to identify the key problems and issues. In housing adaptations, these may relate to the person, the people they live with, the construction or layout of the property, the adaptation process, or funding. By this point, the earlier stages have positioned us to synthesize the information effectively, allowing us to consider the situation holistically and with professional clarity. Stage 5 is about establishing goals, a familiar step in the occupational therapy process. The key question is, what are we aiming to achieve? Goals must be developed collaboratively, balancing aspirations with what is realistically possible. Buildings, funding, and practical constraints all shape what can be achieved. For example, we can't increase the floor area of a high-rise flat. Instead, we often need to be innovative in using the existing space to meet the agreed outcomes. Stage 6 is about taking action. This usually means making your recommendations, based on all the reasoning completed so far. Sometimes, the appropriate action is actually inaction. The information gathered may indicate that proceeding isn't suitable. This stage often leads to further steps, reviewing plans, making adjustments to ensure they achieve the intended outcomes, and re-evaluating if new information emerges. Stage 7 involves revisiting the objectives and evaluating the outcomes once the intervention is complete. Did you achieve what you set out to do? Outcomes must be viewed holistically. Does the intervention enable the person to carry out necessary and chosen occupations more safely and more independently? If it doesn't, then the original objectives have not been met. The final stage of the cycle is to reflect on what has happened and what you've learned. This reflection supports your ongoing development and strengthens your professional knowledge. What you learn can inform a review of the current case or be carried forward into your next piece of work, helping you refine your reasoning and practice over time. The professional reasoning cycle provides a clear, structured way to think, analyze, and act throughout the assessment process. Each stage builds on the last, from understanding the situation to reflection, creating a transparent, defensible, and person-centered approach. It's not a linear path but an iterative one. New information or changing needs may prompt us to loop back, refine our reasoning, and strengthen our decisions through evidence, collaboration, and professional judgment.